You are listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCZW LP Conroe and 106.1 KZCC LP Conroe and worldwide on irlonestar.com.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's good afternoon now. Wow, it's already 1 o'clock. The day's flown by. I can't believe it's my showtime. How you doing today, Dick?
Doing good. Doing good.
Well,
Yeah.
welcome everybody. Good afternoon. This is Jake from Sports Talk here on Lone Star Community Radio, 104.5, 106.1, and worldwide on irlonestar.com. Well, I am glad to say, and I don't think I've ever said this before in my life, I'm glad to say that the NBA is in existence right now because we are in the notorious dog days of summer where it's, usually nothing but boring baseball constantly. And the NBA offseason has just provided us with the Rumpelstiltskin situation where it's just taken crap and spun it into gold, and it's been awesome. Awesome. It's been a fast-paced start to the offseason, but the free agency period hasn't even opened up yet. It doesn't open up until the 1st this weekend. So, but you're already seeing a lot of wheeling and dealing going on, and we'll get into that and everything. Today we do have a special guest in with us. It's the intern here at the station, Jaden. I don't want to butcher your last name.
Jaden Kamstra.
Kamstrom?
Kamstra.
Kamstra. Yeah, I'm going to butcher that. Jaden sounds good. Jaden, how you doing today, man?
Good. How'd do?
Tell me a little bit about yourself.
I'm a pretty normal teenager. I'm at home a lot, intern and have a summer job, work at a gym, front desk.
What high school you go to?
I go to John Cooper School, small private school.
Small private school. Oh, are you one of those rich boys?
Unfortunately, I'm under that scope. Yeah.
My parents were they didn't send me to private school. I wish I had that kind of money. But no, I'm just kidding with you.
Don't we all? Is that really fair to say?
Exactly.
Quit picking on the intern.
Wait, didn't you go to
Northland
private school?
I didn't go to school.
Oh yeah, you were just too smart.
I didn't
for
have
yourself.
parents.
Yo,
All right.
You were born.
that suits you.
I was 30 years old when I was born. That's
carried down by angels. You are listening to Jake from Sports Talk here. Guys, get involved with the show. Let me know what you think about our topics. Hop in on the conversations at Facebook with Jake from Sports Talk, or like Dick said, email me. And I know I haven't changed the email yet. We're getting around to it. But email me at Jake LaFleur or Jacob LaFleur 1993 at gmail.com. Let me know what you think. Hop in. Tell me I'm an idiot or tell me you agree. So, and that's why we got Jaden in here today. I'm going to find out what the difference in 5 years makes in sports opinions. So, looking at the last week in a flash here, basically not a whole lot going on outside of the NBA realm, baseball-wise. College World Series just happened, wrapped up the finals. Florida Gators swept the Tigers of LSU, and I've still got my purple on today, even though my Tigers lost. But I'm still a diehard fan. They won Game 1 4-3 Monday night and 6-1 last night. Gators finally win their first NCAA championship within the College World Series within the baseball realm. So, did you know that they have the second most NCAA championship wins in all sports? So baseball, basketball, chess, all the way down to fencing and all the sports that you wouldn't even think mattered. Men's and women's side, they've won 16 since 2010. So in the last 7 years, they won 16 national championships as a school and 39 overall, which, I mean, if you really look at it, it's not that much in comparison to UCLA and what's the other one? USC's up there. Oh, Stanford. That's what it is. All the California schools.
Is chess really official? Is it an official sport?
Oh, yes. And like fencing and stuff, yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Stanford and UCLA are the ones that are tied, and they're tied with like 114 national championships.
UCLA won like 10 basketball in a row in the 60s.
Well, yeah, and it's just unfair that, all the rich, cool kids go there, and they can afford to bring in and pay athletes. Now, this upcoming weekend, actually, so not the past weekend, but this upcoming weekend, the Battle of Brisbane is going on. It's Jeff Horn versus Manny Pacquiao, July 1st at 9 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. The interesting fact about that is that it's on ESPN.
Yeah.
And they're bringing boxing back to, or attempting to bring it back to cable television. This isn't their first attempt. They've done it before within recent past. But I think this is going to be their biggest fight as far as just having the name Manny Pacquiao in there. Have you ever watched a Pacquiao fight?
Yeah. It's always like those sites that you just get it wherever, like someone's streaming it. Because pay-per-view is like, what, $100 now?
Yeah.
That's up there.
So are you part of that youth that just, goes and refuses
just search,
to pay?
Yeah, search online somewhere. You'll find it.
Illegally downloading stuff. Dick's over there shaking his head as he was talking earlier about hacking into, laptops and tablets and...
Well, I feel like the pay-per-view is more of encouraging people to get together. Because, I mean, especially
Yeah.
for boxing, I don't know anyone that would pay $100 to watch it by themselves. So
No.
everyone I know who's going to watch it is either going to go to a venue to watch it,
A
or
bar,
they
yeah.
get together and watch it.
Well, yeah, you make it into a spectacle.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to a bar and watch it, though, because if that fight lasts 10 minutes, you know how mad everybody's going to be in that place, and then you got to deal with a massive crowd, and I'd rather be at home barbecuing with friends and
Well, that's what I'm
stuff.
saying. I think that's
Yeah.
why they know they can charge $100. I mean, it's kind of like the WWF back in the day would charge $100
Yeah.
for WrestleMania. I mean,
Yeah.
they know people are going to get together.
Or you can be 17 and just, illegally download it off the internet and
Yeah,
watch
but
it
you wouldn't get together with your friends and illegally watch it.
I mean, you could just broadcast it on some big monitor, but no.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Like when people get together, like, oh, why don't we just all pitch in $5 and watch a good, decent stream? We don't get knocked out. We don't have the Russian guy getting yelled at by his mom during the stream, because that's definitely happened. So,
Well, so yeah,
because I used to watch streams all the time because of soccer.
but now, so you don't have to pay for this one. This one's free. ESPN's hosting this one. I mean, do you think that's going to really help the era or the next era, a wave of boxing?
Well, yes and no. I think the $100 adds to the purpose of the fight.
The incentive,
Yeah.
or not the incentive, but the excitement of watching it, right? Because you're...
What we spoke about earlier was the trash talking, the build up,
Yeah.
and then afterwards. That's the whole idea of this McGregor thing. And that's one thing I can't wrap my head around, because these two folks aren't the best, or one's the best of the best, and one's, I guess, the best of the best of another completely different sport. So it's kind of like, why are they fighting together if they're not fighting to be the best? Because that's not a fair judgment between McGregor and Mayweather.
McGregor just wants a payday.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
That's all.
it
Oh,
makes
he'll
no
get one.
sense to me.
Yeah. Oh, he'll get one.
He'll get his payday. But I meant like as just like, if I was a huge boxing fan, I wouldn't care about that fight. If I was a huge MMA fan, I wouldn't care about that fight, because you're not watching MMA, you're watching
Yeah.
boxing. And then, as a spectacle person, I'll watch it because it's something to do.
It's
and
something to do.
It's something to do, and it's something fun to do. But
That spectacle idea, we'll get back into that here in a little bit later in the show.
Okay.
We're going to talk Serena Williams and John McEnroe and the spectacle that would be watching Serena Williams play in the men's circuit. So we'll dive a little more into that and what McEnroe actually said. But and then you got what else is going on this past week? You've got the NBA, which has been just nonstop, beautiful, beautiful content, sports
Turned
content.
upside down, the whole league.
I know, right? You got draft, and like we said, the free agency period doesn't start until the 1st, and yet, here we are. We've got trades in the works. We've got contracts already being basically signed. But yeah, so in the last week, we've had what? Chris Paul has now been talked
Today,
about.
yeah.
Yep, this morning. We had Phil Jackson fired this morning. And we've got Paul George rejecting a Lakers offer, which is interesting. Mm-hmm. And about 6 or 7 teams saying that they're extremely interested. And I really only think that there's probably 2 or 3 that are actually in contention for getting him. And then we've got Carmelo, and where Carmelo's going to end up. And that'll be really interesting. But I got to say, I think we've started a new trend here, Dick, with Jake from Sports Talk. It's the khaki curse. I think I've created the khaki curse. I need to stop bragging about certain baseball teams doing well. I've bragged 2 weeks ago, very first show, I bragged about the Yankees playing just out of their minds this year. And from that Wednesday to the following Wednesday, they went on a 7-game losing streak. Then last week, I talked about that, and then I went on and talked about how the Rockies have performed just out of this world this year, way above expectations, and they are now on a 7-game losing streak. So I'm sorry, Houston fans, I really am, but I've got to brag about the Astros because there's nobody else really to brag about.
We all know who to blame. We all know who to blame.
That's right, the khaki curse. But the Dodgers have played well this year too, and you were telling me that they're ahead of what now?
The NL West, they're leading the NL West, but I mean, it's really up for grabs between the D-backs, the Rockies, and the Dodgers.
Yeah, it's what, a game and a half difference between the three of them. So
it'll go down.
And then
until the end of the season.
The Astros are for best record in the entire MLB. They're only a half game up on the Dodgers right now. But the Astros, I mean, from the start of the season to where we're at now, you've seen that's the most consistent play. From start of the season to where we are now, a week and a half out of the All-Star break, which, man, I can't believe we're about to hit July. That's crazy. Where the heck did the year go? But yeah, so you've had Dodgers, you've had Rockies, and you've had the Yankees just go on streaks like no other and have kept themselves in the race. I mean, the Yankees are still only a game out of the AL East behind the Red Sox up there. So, you know, the point is that the Astros, I think, are truly the best team in the entire MLB. What you were saying, the power rankings. Whose power rankings?
I think it was just MLB.com's. The Dodgers are up top right now, but the Astros are still second.
Well, yeah. So, and how does that work? I mean, the power rankings, are they based off of last week's performance? Last month?
It's pretty temporary. It's like weekly.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, according to MLB, the power rankings for the Dodgers is the highest right now. But I think if you were to look at the entire year's performance. I mean, even with injuries too, the Astros have faced injuries, and
we have no rotation.
Yeah, literally no consistent rotation at least, and yet here we are with best record in the MLB, and I think that's just due to the young players, just incredibly on fire. So, all right, well, stick around. When we come back here on Jake from Sports Talk, we're going to get into the NBA talk. We're going to talk Paul George, Chris Paul, Rockets, and the draft. Free agency coming up. We're going to talk it all, and we'll get a little bit into Phil Jackson a little later in the show. So stick around here on Lone Star Community Radio, 104.5, 106.1, and worldwide on irlonestar.com. Get there on Facebook and follow me, Jake from Sports Talk. All right, guys, we'll be right back with NBA Talk.
Lone Star Community Radio is ready for the summer. If you or anyone you know is looking for summer internship opportunities, Lone Star Community Radio is a great place to grab the mic and be on the air. Lone Star Community Radio offers a great opportunity to those interested in learning about the radio world all year round. Be an on-air personality, talk show producer, or YouTube TV podcast editor. Contact the station at info@irlonestar.com or call the station's message line at 936-647-3776 if you are interested.
Jaden, what do you think of this song? What do you like? Do you like the music?
I didn't hear it. Oh, well, now I hear it. Yeah, I do like the
Okay,
choice.
because Richard Dick has given me hell about this song since.
You can keep talking about how much you like it. It's not going to change. I'm just kidding. If you don't remember, I said it's all right.
Well, I mean, I want
It's
more
good for
than
the
all
song.
right. I want more.
It's good.
It's good for the show.
Yeah, it's good for the show.
The show you are listening to is Jake from Sports Talk here on Lone Star Community Radio, 104.5, 106.7, 106.1, and worldwide on irlonestar.com. Glad to have you guys in. I was saying right before the break, we're going to talk a little bit NBA talk, and come join me at Facebook. Send me an email, jacoblafleur1993@gmail.com. We're going to get a simpler email, I promise. But come and join the talk. Let me know if you think the Chris Paul trade to the Rockets is a good idea for the Rockets or a bad idea. Let me know what you think, because I've got an opinion. We're going to get into it here, really quick right now. But first, I want to start with Paul George. So Paul George, front runners right now to pick him up for basically a 1-year lease is the Cavaliers, the Spurs, the Celtics, Portland, and Timberwolves. So Timberwolves, I don't really think have a shot to get him. I don't think Paul George is going to go play there for a year. Portland Timbers, I don't think so either. No way. And then I think your only real logical. I've left the Rockets out of that. Sorry, Rockets. I think your only real logical landing spots are Cavaliers, Celtics, Spurs, Rockets. Those 4 teams, I think, are the only teams that Paul George would actually go play for a year, because those are the only teams that can, quote unquote, win a championship next year. And not realistically, right? Because I don't know. You tell me. If the Rockets, so with knowing that the Rockets are getting Chris Paul, do you think the Chris Paul addition alone is enough to make them good enough to compete with Golden State? And if not, or if yes, do you think the addition of Chris Paul and Paul George is what they need to be better than the Warriors?
I mean, just Chris Paul alone, I mean, we'd give them a run for their money, but eventually, especially in like a 7-game series,
No.
I don't think you can beat the Warriors because they'll just outscore everyone. And I mean, that's what we had because, I mean, we lost to the Spurs. So I thought this year we had a good chance because we had the chance to just outscore them because our defense, I mean, wasn't there. All we were was just offense.
Well, yeah, and so, I mean, Chris Paul is I would say,
Pass first defense guy.
yeah, and that's great. So you're getting the plus on the defensive side. Paul George is a better defender than, say, Patrick Beverly, but you know you're losing some offense. I mean, they're giving up. Who are they trading away for them?
Sam Decker, Lou Williams, and Patrick Beverly.
Patrick Beverly. So you're losing a lot of your 3-point threats too there. And I mean, Paul George can shoot the 3, but Chris Paul isn't known for his 3-point shooter. So, you know, what's the plus if you bring in those 2 and you're losing these 3? You know, what's the and then who they and whoever else they're going to have to give up to get Paul George? You know, where's your benefit? I mean, are you going to try to beat the Warriors solely on these 3 individuals?
The plus, I think, well, with Chris Paul, he plays the Warriors, 8 times a year because they're in the West. They're in the West Division, so has the experience against Steph, who obviously he would only guard Steph, and then Paul George was there. That's who we got on Kevin Durant, and I mean, other than that, just score, because I think the Western Conference. You don't need defense at this point.
You don't. But the 3-pointer is a huge thing.
Yeah.
And so
that's the thing about like Lou Williams. He was quick scoring. I mean, we still have Eric Gordon, which is 6th man of the year.
Yeah.
That's good. But Lou he was quick offense. He could shoot with like any amount of defense in his face, and that's the thing that worries me. Depth a little bit.
Well, yeah. So that's what I was trying to say is who's going to be your depth? Because who's going to be your starting 5 right now? If you were to bring in Paul George, you'd have Paul George, Chris Paul. James, and
Clint Capella and Ryan Anderson. If Anderson stays.
But they're going to have to get Paul George.
Yeah, that's going to be Ariza will be probably in that deal.
Yeah, Trevor's probably
It would be
gone.
a big knock.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So then depth-wise, we're going to be hurting. I think the biggest benefit is that you're going to have Chris Paul at point guard and not Harden. Mm-hmm. Because, not to take anything away from Harden, Harden's a great driver to the basket, and he's great.
Should have been MVP probably.
Well, okay, so we'll talk about that. We're going to get into that too. But I think Harden has a tendency of getting a little too selfish at times, and so I think Chris Paul is going to get more of the offense involved the entire game rather than letting Harden just try to pure dominate at the end of games.
I think it was either the game 5 or game 4 where the Rockets just broke down and. Because Harden, he had to control the ball, and I mean, they weren't running anything. It was just ISO, turn the ball over, lose the lead, and lose the game. Yeah, and then lose the series eventually.
And that's terrible. Then game 6, I mean, Harden, we're not even going to go there. Yeah. So, wait, do you really think Harden should have been the MVP? Yeah. Are you upset that I mean,
Russell Westbrook averaging a triple-double, that's pretty obvious. I think it was the obvious choice, but the trend, especially with Steph, like Steph being unanimous last year, I think it was garbage, but they're obviously going off wins, the writers, because they went 73-9. So wins were important. And
but if they're going off wins, then Harden should have won.
Exactly. But
if they're going off wins, then Kawhi should have won.
Yeah,
really.
True.
If you look at it that way.
But that was playoffs, because they were second in the West, right?
Yeah,
never mind.
That's
true.
They had more wins than the Rockets, but in all honesty, I think they got it right. The last time somebody averaged a triple-double in an NBA season, they didn't win the MVP.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, the thing is value. Like, if the Thunder don't have Russell Westbrook, obviously they're bottom of the West. So I think the value of Russell Westbrook is pretty big.
Well, yeah, but okay. So, but without Harden, do you think Rockets are good enough to make an 8 seed? I don't think so.
Yeah, but that's not bottom. The Thunder would be nothing.
That's true. That's true. So that's another point to why I think Westbrook should have.
It was close, and I knew it was probably going to be Russell Westbrook. I have a bias, obviously. That's why I think.
Yeah, so you're a Houston fan through and through.
Yeah.
Astros as well, I take it. Well, okay. So transitioning now on over to NBA draft talk. What did you make of the whole Celtics move to get rid of or to trade out of one and take what they got from the Sixers? And what do you think about the Sixers doing with what they did, or getting what's his name, Markelle Fultz?
Yeah, I mean, right now the Sixers, they have all the cap space in the world. I mean, if they had any attraction, they could get whatever free agent they wanted to. But I mean, they're completely gutted at this point. They're just going for young run and gun, just young up and coming talent. They're going for straight potential. But I mean, Boston, I don't know. That's a tough spot to be in for Boston because I mean they're good, but they're not Cleveland good. That's the whole goal.
Well, yeah, and so then it will back over the Sixers. So they draft Markelle, and now they're adding Markelle, and they're essentially building their.
Yeah.
I don't want to say elite four because they're all. It's more of a young four. A young four with Markelle, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, and Dario. Do you think with those four that they can actually compete this year with the Cavaliers or the Celtics? Do you think they make a playoff spot?
Oh, it's possible for a playoff spot. Yeah, I think it's possible.
So I think they're going to take probably a 7 seed max.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's if
I would
they
agree with that.
if they have a great stellar season. I would say that's max.
And I mean, that's a pretty good chance that their inexperience could go against them and they just don't make the playoffs.
Well, and I mean, you look at Simmons and Embiid, the health of those two.
Ben Simmons hasn't played a game.
Ben Simmons hasn't played a game, and so we don't know what he truly is going to be. I mean, we can speculate, right?
Yeah. He could be some Aaron Judge and just take the storm.
Or he could be I don't even I can't think of a terrible example of somebody with so much hype and then coming in and bombing. But Ben Simmons is an LSU boy, so he wouldn't bomb, right? The last true NBA player out of there we had was Shaq. So woo, he'll do good. I'm sure of that. And then you got Lonzo Ball going to Lakers, Daddy Ball, all excited.
Did you see that WWE thing?
Oh yes.
Gosh.
Oh, that was too funny. Did you see their Adidas commercial?
No, I didn't.
No.
Oh, with the Father's Day one?
Oh yes. I don't know if Dick can pull up that quick enough, but I will. Maybe when we come back, we can play the clip. Yeah, the Father's Day commercial for Adidas. It's quite funny. Lonzo Ball did a great job there.
What do you think he's going to be like? Do you think
he'll be good? I don't think he's going to be anything stellar.
They won't make the playoffs,
but they're not going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
They're way too far.
Yeah. If Paul George signed, I think.
Yeah, but like I said, he already turned down an offer from the Lakers.
Yeah,
and
LeVar's not happy about that.
No, and he's not. But I think it's actually smart that. Or not smart. I think it's fortunate for the Lakers that he did turn it down because I think ultimately he will end up there for the 2019 season. I think that where Magic is doing the right thing and kind of freeing up quite a bit of cap space, I think he's going to get LeBron.
Yeah, no, that's what I've been hearing. I know my brother's saying that he's almost positive that he's going to go.
Well, and I know that everybody's going to be pursuing LeBron next year, but I really think...
I think he's going to stay in Cleveland. I think
he's going to stay in Cleveland? Why? Why would you stay?
I don't know why. I mean...
with that front office and that hectic management system...
Is true. I didn't think about that, but still, would he leave again? Would Cleveland take it well? I don't know.
Why does he have to stay?
That's true. I don't know.
He won them a championship.
He could win more.
He could win more, but
they need that. They need one more. If they get that Paul George, I think they can win again.
If Paul George comes this year,
I mean that kind of makes the NBA boring again because this right now it's just Warriors.
It's gonna be boring for the next 3-4 years,
yeah.
or wherever LeBron.
KD really screwed the NBA over. this entertainment-wise, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if you look, but LeBron, for the NBA's perspective, you want him to stay in the West or in
the East, yeah.
The East. You don't
'Cause
want
you
him
don't
to,
want it to be West dominated.
No, because then you're going to have no. I mean, you've already got the Spurs out there. You've already got the Rockets out there, and you've got Golden State, obviously. So you don't want to add another power team to the West Coast, and then leave this.
Because at that
dump
point,
of
it's just
garbage.
who wins the West, they'll win the finals.
And that's and so then becomes the NBA championship is just the West Finals. So, Dick, how we doing on time over there? I'm rambling on. Okay, I got a few more times. We'll go on to the next topic then. I did want to talk about Jackson getting drafted by the Celtics. Averaged 16.3 points and 7.4 rebounds last year at Kansas. I think he provides a lot of
It's athletic.
I was going to say a lot of athleticism for the Celtics, but I don't really see it being a
Oh, it's not franchise shifting or anything.
or an outstanding.
Yeah.
I mean, what? So
He
what do
could
you,
develop into something really special, but I mean, as we know now, it's super teams. You know, he's got to be on one
so
to win one.
So what do you think they do with Isaac? Or sorry, not
Isaiah. I have no idea.
No.
I'm glad I'm not in the management.
Yeah, right. Well, what would you do? I mean, are you going to try to give him? I mean, you think that Indiana would take him for Paul George?
He's not a franchise
No.
guy, but he's a great piece. Like, he's a great secondary piece. If Paul George were to come to the Celtics, that'd be good. That'd be a good little.
He's literally a leprechaun out there on the court playing. I mean,
He somehow gets it there though. He
he's
gets
so
it to
tiny.
the basket.
I'm not saying that he's not a good player.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I like him as I'm a Celtics fan. I like him as a player, but you can't build your team around him.
Yeah,
And that's
I
the
agree
problem.
with that.
And Celtics have tried to make him this
Centerpiece,
this cornerstone piece for this franchise, and at best he's a six man. I really think so. We'll see. We'll see how they play it off. I'll be curious to see what they're willing to give up to get Paul George, what the Rockets are going to give up to
It'll
get
be a
Paul
lot.
George, and I think we all know what the Spurs are going to give up.
Yeah.
So I'll be curious, and then if it's an even love for George trade in Indiana. So we'll see. But all right, guys, stick around. We're gonna come back. We're gonna talk the Phil Jackson nonsense circus that the New York Knicks have been for the last 16, 17 years now. But you are listening to Jake from Sports Talk here on Lone Star Community Radio, 104.5, 106.1, worldwide on irlonestar.com. Get in there, get in on Facebook. Let me know what you think at Jake from Sports Talk. And we'll be right back with some Phil Jackson talk.
Our talk shows and music shows are looking for sponsors. Want to expand your brand awareness? Reach the hyper-local audience in Montgomery County? The Lone Star Community Radio sponsorships accomplish this. Want to see our stats and rates? Check out irlonestar.com/sponsor for more information. Or call in and leave us a message at 936-647-3776 with your question. Get seen on TV or YouTube and heard on our podcast, FM, and internet radio. Sponsor your local radio station with Lone Star Community Radio.
I told you it's good. Get you dancing. Get you going. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am your goofy, crazy, wild, fun, entertaining host, Jake, from Sports Talk, here on Lone Star Community Radio, 104.5, 106.1, and worldwide on irlonestar.com. Guys, you can listen to me anywhere and everywhere, all the time. If you missed my first two shows from week 1 and 2, go follow me on YouTube, Jake from Sports Talk. Go follow me on Facebook, Jake from Sports Talk. iTunes, Google Play. Go listen to the podcast versions of it. If you're in the greater Montgomery County, Conroe area, look for me on Our City TV. The video version, the television version of this will be aired every Friday from at 7 p.m. 7 p.m. here locally on Our City TV in the greater Montgomery County area. So if you are a fan, if you want to see my beautiful face, see what this sexy voice sounds like, or looks like, I guess, not sounds like, looks like. So you can, you can watch me on Our City TV, or if you live outside of Montgomery County, YouTube. Go to YouTube. Jake from Sports Talk. Follow me, guys. Get involved. I want to hear what you think, what you want to talk about. Let me know if you think that Phil Jackson is just a greedy old man. We're gonna get some NBA talk in. We do have a guest in today, co-host, I guess, for the day, Mr.
Jaden.
We're not going to worry about the last name anymore. Jaden. I didn't want to butcher it again. Phil Jackson, old greedy man or innocent bystander that needs a walker?
If I was him, I would just look at my rings that Kobe and Shaq got me and would have stayed out of New York.
So
that's all I would have done.
He's got 11 rings.
Yeah.
Where do you think he wears the 11th? He's the
Pinky toe.
Pinky toe?
Yeah.
You think his pinky toe is big enough? I was thinking somewhere else, but, we won't go there. So, I mean, it's ridiculous. I read a report today. So over the past, he's been there in New York for 3 years. He made $60 million over a 3-year span. He averaged out making $50,000 a day. $50,000. What would you do with $50,000 a day? I'd go buy Italy.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
I would literally buy Italy. Oh, that's ridiculous. So he's out. James Dolan, they had a mutual parting, but we all know what that really means.
Yeah.
James Dolan kicked him to the curb. What's next for New York?
Who knows?
I mean, what do they do to keep Carmelo? What do they do to keep Porzingis happy? Because they've already said they're open to trade talks for him. Do you think they still trade him?
He seems like he could make a decent centerpiece, possibly. I don't know if it's solidified yet, but, in terms of Carmelo, he's probably on his way out. I kind of see him in a Clippers jersey for some reason.
A Clippers jersey? You don't see him going with his bud to Cleveland?
Nah.
I don't see him living
It's possible, though.
I don't see him living in Ohio either.
Yeah. No.
I mean, that's just... Yeah, no, that doesn't fit the Melo lifestyle. But I guess all the reports are saying that, he doesn't want to leave the New York scene. He likes that New York scene. And he doesn't necessarily want to go to L.A. and live there. He likes New York. His wife likes New York. His family likes it.
Well, Brooklyn's an option. If he wants to go to Brooklyn.
Yeah, I don't think... Yeah, no way. No, there's not enough money in the world to get Melo to go there. But what about Boston? Do you think he goes a little bit down the ways and goes down to Boston?
I don't know. I feel like Melo's always been the type of guy who's taken off-court circumstances over championship goals, I think he's one of those guys that just ends without a ring.
You don't think he ever gets one?
Unless he goes to Cleveland.
Right? So
that's his best chance.
Paul George and Carmelo both go to Cleveland. And Cleveland gives up Love in one of those two transactions. And so you've got...
a lot of superstars.
You've got Paul George, Tristan Thompson, LeBron, Carmelo,
Kyrie.
and Kyrie.
Mm-hmm.
That 5 playing there. Do you think those 5 are good enough to beat the Warriors?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too.
I'd put my money
I think
on
that's about one of the few scenarios, because Melo's still a great shooter.
Oh, yeah.
And his assist
all Melo
rate-
would have to do, sit behind three-point line, let someone else drive, get open, make your shot. That's
Yeah,
all you gotta
let
do.
LeBron handle down in the paint, and let Kyrie and Carmelo sit down outside, and Paul George sit outside and just...
Paul George can do almost as much as LeBron can do too. So.
Yeah, exactly. And so you can those two are interchangeable, So I think that's the combo that LeBron needs. And with Cleveland and the way that's been this offseason too, with getting rid of with Dan Gilbert, getting rid of David I forget his last name now, the GM. Getting rid of the GM there in Cleveland. That's where I think the chaotic nature of that front office is going to end up hurting them, and I think that's why they're not going to be able to bring in the Paul George and the Carmelos this offseason, and I think that's ultimately why, next year at the end of next season, LeBron's gone, and you think he's going to stay. So why? Do you think
I don't
he's
know.
gonna stay?
I feel like when he said I'm coming home, I felt like he would stay there, and I feel like he's okay with staying near Akron, Because he's before we know it, I mean, it's going to be the end of his career eventually.
He's what?
He's approaching
He's
it.
32 now, right?
Yeah.
Him and Chris Paul are both 32.
Yeah.
I can't believe Chris Paul's 32. He looks like he's
Good
100.
draft class.
Yeah, it was a good draft class. It was. So back to the chaotic front office of the Knicks too. What I mean, so they've got Melo's on the books for 2 more years, $54 million, I think.
Yeah,
55, something right around there. How do they, even with who did they just draft? What was the kid's name?
It was wasn't it the French point guard?
Yes.
I forget his name, but it was like 11th pick. I'm not sure. But yeah, no, the Knicks. That's just a whole.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like
Natinka. Yeah, I can't pronounce it. Whatever. Even with that kid, even with bringing him in, I don't think it's enough to make Melo stay. I don't think it's enough to even keep Porzingis happy. I think he's had it, and
Yeah.
he wants out.
I kind of see him going to the Spurs as much as I don't want that to happen.
Why?
Well, I'm a Rockets fan,
Well,
so
come
I don't
on,
want to see
but
him.
Competitive sports. It's what the glory of sports is. The competitive.
It's
nature.
okay if it's competitive between other teams, but as long as the Rockets are winning.
The Rockets
that's
and
good.
Spurs. It can't be.
Yeah, no.
So, do you think there's a bigger rivalry there between Rockets and Spurs or Rockets and Mavs? I mean, I personally think.
Well, I mean, Mavs aren't even in competition right now,
I mean,
so
I
it
know,
is
they're-
definitely Spurs, especially after that series. But it's not like bad blood or anything,
No.
you know.
No.
But I feel like, especially with like the Mavs, I think it was a couple of years ago where we had Dwight. There was some bad blood, especially him and Tyson Chandler, because
Yeah.
they were going at it, you know. And I mean, any cross-state rival, it's already a rival. Like Astros, Rangers too, you know.
Well, so this past weekend, and Dick can chime in here on this. What was the final of the Dynamo Dallas FC?
Oh.
It was 1-1, and it was a sold-out game.
Yeah, didn't they fight? I saw there was a little fight there at the game or something.
No, nothing. I mean, there was
Nothing crazy, but
Yeah.
there's a scuffle.
Little scuffle.
It usually happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so what I was talking to Dick about last week is I think they need to create the interstate rivalry more heavy, and not to exclude San Antonio, but the San Antonio only has the Spurs. I think it needs to be like a 45 sort of like just all out clash constantly, and you
Well, Astros Rangers, like
That's
I
that's
like
a
it
fun
whenever
series.
they play. Yeah,
That's a fun series, and so are the Dynamo and the Dallas FC. They've got something that they fight for. What do the soccer teams fight for?
It's a cannon.
A cannon.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you've got the Golden Boot with the Astros Astros and Rangers, but you got nothing with the Texans and the Cowboys.
Well, I mean, we've seen them like once in a regular season game in past like 10 years. I
Yeah,
feel like
and
it's just that AFC NFC thing, you know.
Well,
Can never.
okay, and you're telling me the NFL can't coordinate
Yeah,
that?
I don't know. I wish. I would love to see.
I mean, I
that.
swear the Giants play the
That would be
Packers
the-
every year.
Yeah, that would be the biggest tailgate wherever they are.
Well, yeah, and
Dallas
that's what I'm
or
saying. You
Houston.
would create so much business up and down 45 if you
Yeah.
created that rivalry.
Get
And
some traffic. All the way
I don't
down.
mind the traffic. I would go. It'd be awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
you know how many Texans fans would love to go?
Oh yeah, and
you know,
same with the Cowboys fans. They'd
Yeah.
come down here too.
And we would fill Jerry World and red, and they'd come down and fill, what is it now?
Energy.
Reliant Energy. Yeah, it's not Reliant anymore. Energy Stadium with blue, and so it's. I think the money that would come along, and then the Mavs and the Rockets, and you could even throw in the Spurs there, and I don't know, do a round robin sort of thing.
Yeah.
But
I mean, there's that whole like teams from outside of Texas, the Texas Triangle for the NBA.
yeah,
Like that's a pretty big spot in every team's schedule.
and it would be. I think it would be a ton of fun to create like a once a year, sort of trophy that we just pass back and forth between the cities.
Should be a neutral spot too, in like El Paso or something.
El
just
Paso.
make it neutral and everyone
just to
travel
make it
there.
a little more dangerous along the Mexican border.
Well, I mean, it gets the city involved too, because the Dynamo put up posters, billboards talking trash.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of one of those deals where people they see that and they see,
Ugh.
yeah, like let's go see a game.
Yeah.
Let's go see how this goes. Hopefully there's a scuffle.
There's a scuffle.
Or something like that. So, but for the canon, just to clear it up, it's for a series.
Yeah. It's not a single
just
game.
one game. Yeah, it's a series of games. I think they set up a time, but it's a big deal to them.
Well, I mean, I think that's really cool, though. I mean, I think that sort of city pride.
Well, I mean, I guarantee if you go on the Spurs message boards right now, they're really upset because you're getting that CP3 guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And apparently he might be going to the Spurs, so that's why they're upset. So.
I wonder. I mean, I don't live in California, obviously, but I wonder if it's the same between all the like Kings,
No,
Clippers,
I think the
Lakers.
only ones there that's really like that is Angels Dodgers.
Mm,
and if you talk to a Dodgers fan, my sister-in-law is a Dodgers fan. If you call them the L.A. Angels, then
they get mad.
Oh, they get furious. And it's like, no, they're not. They're not. They're the Anaheim Angels. And it's like, all right, whatever. Silly California people.
Yeah.
I hope she's listening right now. She's gonna yell at me. All right, we're gonna go to our last break, and when we come back, we're gonna talk a little humorous sort of side of a story and how ridiculously out of proportion something got blown up, and if John McEnroe was really in the wrong or not. And so you're listening to Lone Star Community Radio. 104.5, 106.1, and worldwide on irlonestar.com. I am Jake from Sports Talk here. And stay tuned for John McEnroe talk.
A Lone Star Community Radio is looking for those who are interested in hosting their own talk show, with monthly and weekly slots available on Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1, and on irlonestar.com. Start your own podcast, create your first YouTube channel, and be on TV. Contact Lone Star Community Radio online at irlonestar.com or call the station message line at 936-647-3776 to take your first step into the radio world.
Getting everybody in the studio dancing. Hey. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jake from Sports Talk here on Lone Star Community Radio 104.5, 106.1, and worldwide on irlonestar.com. I'm joined by our intern, Jaden. Glad to have him in the studio today. This is his first week. It's nice to. We had a wonderful intern last week too, and so she did such a good job that Jaden, you got some big shoes to fill. Are you prepared?
I am prepared. I'm ready for the challenge.
So what do you want to do within the radio industry? I mean, do you want to be a host? Do you want to be engineer? Do you want to be
Probably towards the engineering side.
Yeah? You don't want to be behind the mic?
It's all right. I mean,
right?
sometimes probably. Like, this is fun.
Yeah. See, exactly. It's fun, right? You just don't have the big head yet.
Yeah.
And the more and more you do this, the more and more you love it, and you just, you're like, I'm not going to be an engineer. But Dick's so happy being, an engineer, but he's also a show host as well.
Show this morning.
Yeah, he's a good host. I like him on the Mornings with Lone Star here at Lone Star Community Radio. Hey, guys, follow me. Get involved in the conversation. YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, iTunes, all that. Jake from Sports Talk. Email me at jacoblafleur@gmail.com. And, we'll get involved. Let me know what you think, because we're going to talk a little John McEnroe here. And so usually when we close out the show, we do a you blew it sort of moment, comical moment, things that happen in the sports world. And, this specific situation, I guess, overall is not terribly funny, but there's a funny portion of it, and we're going to play the clip here in a minute. But John McEnroe is just...
It's a spectacle.
Yes, and it's what he is.
Still is one.
And it's great. And I love that he is so uncensored and unfiltered in a world where...
That's what it's all about, censorship.
Yeah, we get coaches and players that are, monotoned robots that, say exactly what they have to say because they don't want to upset anybody. They don't want to offend anybody. And I get it, but sometimes you're gonna offend somebody. And in all honesty, what he had said and what McEnroe was, he was at a book signing for his new book, and he got asked by an NPR reporter, about his thoughts on Serena Williams, saying that she was the greatest women's tennis player to ever play the sport, and the NPR reporter asked her, asked him, why do you have to clarify it? Why do you have to make her the best female tennis player to ever play? And McEnroe was like, well, are you kidding me? Like, if she played in the men's circuit, she'd be 700th in the world. And, a lot of people took offense to that, and I don't really understand why, because
just honesty.
it's what it is. And if you go look at Serena Williams,
I don't know about 700th though. She'd do decently.
Yeah. I think it was sort of the first number that popped up on his head. I don't think it was anything that was meant to be rude or anything like that. But if you look at her resume, she's got the best resume out of any tennis player, male or female, to ever play the sport. And if you are judging it off of that, yes, she's probably the most decorated and most successful tennis player in the world, to ever played the game.
And I'm sure McEnroe would agree with that.
Yes,
but
and
he's talking about skill here.
Yeah, and he did. But he said if you pair her up, if you put her in the men's circuit against Novak Djokovic, and even Serena said it herself, he would beat me 6-0, 6-0 if I played Novak Djokovic. Mm-hmm. And for those of you who don't know who Djokovic is, he's arguably one of the best, or if not, he's one of the top 3 tennis players in the current men's circuit. But, and she understands. I don't think she probably would have taken it that way. And then McEnroe even followed up and later and said, yeah, I would be like 1200th in the men's circuit if I tried to go out there and play right now. Mm-hmm. Serena could easily beat me. And so I think the fact that, it was a quiet sports weekend, because we hadn't had all the NBA excitement yet, and we hadn't had, we were fresh off the draft, and that sort of talk was there and done. And then you just nothing but quiet baseball talk all weekend long, and then McEnroe gave you this, gold. And so the sports world, the media world, even outside of the sports world, blew up on this and made this into a much larger deal than it needed to be.
You were saying some of the ESPN reporters wanted him to report an apology or something, but why?
Well, yeah. So no, it's actually here on the Good Morning America on CBS.
That's right.
They asked him. Well, just listen. This is the funny portion of this.
Why was it necessary for you to say that anybody, Serena, couldn't beat the 700th player on the men's circuit?
As you know well enough, Charlie, I've respect Serena very much so, okay? And I was simply calling her on an NPR, which supposedly you're supposed to, this is where you can say it like it is and you're going to get honest feedback. She's the greatest female player that ever lived. Then the lady said to me, I don't remember which one, but she said, why did you say woman? Why don't you just say the greatest, tennis player that ever lived? And so then I felt the need, however, unfortunately, I'm probably to defend myself. I don't know, just say what I really felt. I mean, which is about what I think she would be. I think you're referring to the fact that I said she'd be about 700 in the world.
Yeah. Right.
I've got a solution, Gail, though, because I know that you're friendly with Serena, and I think at least until yesterday I was.
I'm right now. I'm just waiting. Would you like to apologize?
No. But the offer is this. Because it seems
that very end is the. Yeah. Would you like to apologize? No. That's the pure brutal honesty of McEnroe that we've all come and grown to love. But I agree. There's no need to apologize. Yeah. And if it was something. If he meant it with, with mean intentions, if he had malice, intentions, then obviously he would need to apologize. But he truly didn't mean it.
It was just honesty.
No, it was pure honesty, and it wasn't anything that was overly offensive or anything like that. So, Dick, you're quiet over there. When you got a smirk on your face.
Well, what's funny is I'm reading the full blow up, and that's one thing I love about Twitter is these superstars have Twitter. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, she's probably going to be asked all these things. And she wrote back, and it was like she brought in her baby.
Yeah.
That's really weird to me.
Why?
Because it has nothing to do with your baby.
Yeah, that has nothing I agree. I'm right there with you.
And what's funny is, so this is what she's quoted on Twitter. She says, Dear John, I adore and respect you, but please, please, please keep me out of your statements that are not factually based. I've never played anyone ranked there, nor do I have time. Respect me and my privacy as I'm trying to have a baby. Good day, sir.
Well,
to me, that's really odd.
A little bit, yeah.
I mean, to bring the baby into it?
Well, what's weird to me is why can't another tennis player who's arguably like one of the most influential tennis players have have an opinion about tennis.
Yeah.
I mean,
because that is his job right now. He's a tennis analyst.
Yeah, so
he's
he can, and
I guess she doesn't want to bring it. She doesn't want to be brought into the headlines, into the limelight with the whole baby thing going on.
With her being the greatest female
see.
athlete, I mean, it's just surprising me no one's focusing on that comment. Because to me, that's a great comment.
I think it's almost kind of like false modesty too. It's like, oh, don't bring me into this.
Yeah,
I've got my baby.
If you were
going.
her, you'd be like, thanks for regarding me as one of the best female tennis players coming from someone like you.
Yeah, and he is a very good tennis player. He's done great commentations for all the majors.
Well, doesn't Serena have a background?
What do you mean a background?
With her and her sister challenging men?
Ooh, not that
I remember probably like 5 years ago that was the deal. Because I know that what's funny, and this is another issue with soccer, is the argument about the women's soccer team and the men's soccer team. And a lot of people don't know this. Is the United States female soccer team plays a men's team of 15 to 17-year-olds.
So younger.
For younger. And I think those teams, they select one every year.
Yeah.
I think the men's team has beat the female team every year for the past, 8 years.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I know at, school, even, varsity girls will play, JV guys, but usually the girls win. But I don't know if that's the case with that. I don't know. It's
a development thing.
It's really hypothetical a lot of the time.
It's a natural factor. The way I would put it is yes, Serena Williams has the best resume in the world, but if you took her and you put her up against, bigger, stronger men, take a wrestler, take a collegiate wrestler who wrestles at 140. He's the world's best wrestler. Take him and place him against 1,000th rank 260 pounder that wrestles at 260.
I just meant more of just a comparison of them trying it.
Yeah.
Because to me, it's Serena clearly said I haven't been ranked before, compared to what you're ranking me on stats. So don't comment on it But then again, would they ever play?
Well, I don't know. No, they wouldn't.
So just so you know, the FC Dallas under 15 squad beat the women's national team in a scrimmage for preparation for friendlies against other.
But I think that's good. I think that's good prep.
FC Dallas?
Yeah, they have. Yeah, they're they have under 15, 17, and 19. I think most MLS soccer teams have camps basically.
Yeah. So, and I think that's good practice for the women too.
No, it's necessary.
Yeah, I think it's good. So
that's why they're the best female soccer team
in the world. Yeah, we compare them to the men's soccer team so much, I guess.
Well, they tried to do that. We can talk about this on another episode about them suing the. They sued basically our FIFA organization because the men were getting paid more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they won, right? Or is it
the girls?
No, the girls lost. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll have to discuss that next time then, because that's really interesting. I never heard the conclusion of that. I just assumed they won because of equal rights in this country, but.
Well, no. What it did is actually exposed how much money they really make, and now because that's what they argued was because basically what it is, they argued that we need to get paid more, we bring more attention, but then they brought the actual statistics, like how much money does the men's national team bring, how much money does the women's national team bring, and then that's when you get kind of caught out in this gray area where well, maybe we shouldn't be paying you that much at all. So.
Well, I think you see a very similar problem in the collegiate level too, with paying college athletes and trying to justify paying sports and athletes that don't bring in any money, but everybody gets their money from football and baseball. Mm-hmm. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for listening to Jake from Sports Talk here on Lone Star Community Radio. Guys, don't forget, go join me, go follow me on Facebook, YouTube, Jake from Sports Talk, Google Play, iTunes, all that good stuff. Jaden, thanks so much for joining me today.
No problem, man.
I liked having a clown to bounce ideas off of. No, I'm kidding. All right, guys, tune in next week. Don't forget, every Wednesday from 1 to 2 p.m. here on Lone Star Community Radio, 104.5, 106.1, and worldwide on irlonestar.com. Thanks for checking out this podcast of Lone Star Community Radio, Montgomery County's community radio station. If you enjoyed this recording, make sure to check out our past shows online at irlonestar.com or their respective video or podcast formats on YouTube, Google Play, or iTunes. If you have any questions regarding the show, either it being about sponsorships or questions for the host, contact the station manager at dick@irlonestar.com or call the station at 936-647-3776. This show was recorded in downtown Conroe, Texas at the Lone Star Community Radio Studios, and Lone Star Community Radio reserves all rights to this recording and images.